listening to the World Between Worlds, a Star Wars podcast where four Star Wars fans and film enthusiasts dive into the entire Star Wars mythos from Episode 1 all the way through the TV shows leading up to Episode 9. Today we'll be talking about three very interesting tribute episodes to Japanese cinema, coincidentally, like back to back to back. We will be talking about the episode Bounty Hunters, which is a tribute to the Seven Samurai by Akira Kurosawa, and then we will be talking about the Zillo Beast, which is a tribute to... What exactly?
Not sure.
You know, it's about...
It'll come to us.
It'll come to us. And the Zillo Beast strikes back. My name is Yates.
My name's Jordan.
And with us, as always, is...
No one else.
Jessica's not here. Keats isn't here. No, Keats is out sick, and Jessica wasn't able to come today. So, it's me and Jordan. We're going to power through.
I'm sick, too, but I love Star Wars so much. I'm not a coward.
So, the Season 2, Episode 17, Bounty Hunters, describes a encounter that Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Ahsoka have with a small tribe of people on Felucia. They were at Felucia before, but for some reason they go back, and their ship crashes.
You all right there, Master? I'm fine, Anakin.
Where on Felucia do you think we are?
So they crash land, and there they meet...
The dinosaur people?
The dinosaur people, that's right. The little tribe of farmers on Felucia, small farming society. And we find out that they are being extorted by pirates for a crop that they're growing. Penicillin. I think it was called something like that, right?
Something like that.
Yeah, sillies, penicillin.
Antilles.
Well, it'll be penicillin.
We'll call it penicillin.
Yeah, so whatever the penicillin is, I think they said that it was some sort of like valuable healing herb potentially or something like that. I think Obi-Wan says that. In any case, it is very valuable to our old pirate friend who's kind of a total doucher in this, Hondo Ohnaka. And there's a bit of a moral quandary in terms of what and how the Jedi could assist with these people, because they're already asking for the help of bounty hunters, and the Jedi are not too keen on cooperating with them, and Obi-Wan isn't too keen on cooperating with the Felucian people that are on there anyway.
Master, these farmers are in trouble. Why can't we help them?
Believe me, Ahsoka, I would like nothing more. However, we need to report that the medical station has been destroyed. If we stay too long, the Separatists will show up looking for us here.
But...
Better they get robbed by pirates than attract the interest of General Grievous and his whole...
Why does Obi-Wan not want them to help? I don't know, man. In Obi-Wan's opinion, I think he says something to the effect of, these people need to learn to fight for themselves because, we can't just go in and solve people's problems all the time, which is kind of what Qui-Gon says in Phantom Menace. It's like we're not here to solve people's problems. We're here to help people solve their own problems.
Yeah, it's true. I feel like everyone just expects them to because they're more powerful than them.
Yeah,
and it probably gets annoying.
Yeah, sure. And that's the same deal with the bounty hunters already. And I honestly, if I remember right, I don't even think the bounty hunters want to work with the Jedi either. The second the Jedi show up, the bounty hunters are like, please just get out of here. Like, we have this covered.
Yeah, they're like, we got a job. We're getting paid for this leave. We don't need you.
Yeah.
And the dinosaur guy's like, wait, they can help you. And
yeah.
Obi-Wan's like, dude, chill, nah.
I don't want to do this. He just
wants to leave because they need to get to the Republic outpost. It's coming back to me.
Yes, that's absolutely right. You're right. Obi-Wan's main thing is like getting out of there as soon as possible. But Obi-Wan's whole speech about like we got to help, they have to help themselves. Anakin takes that as like, okay, so we'll just teach them how to fight this battle. And so that's most of the second half of the episode is just like training this group of farmers to be warriors and fight off the pirates.
Oh, that 30-second montage where he spins a stick and then the one guy has a tree fall on him.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. They're warriors now, everybody.
So I guess that's probably like the biggest leap that the episode takes is like it's a 20-minute long episode and they have to convince us that this group of farmers that seem pretty meager to like just in general and like as an audience member, they're at the first half they're supposed to come off as very weak. And then, like, within a 30-second montage, they're able to fight back off the pirates.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't like this episode at all.
Yeah, it probably would have benefited from a little more runtime, like getting to know the people better. Because I did like the setup. I liked all the dynamics, and I liked the story. And this is a dynamic that they return to, and it's kind of like also, I think, sort of political in nature in regards to like the U.S. going in to train other like guerrilla fighters in other areas. Just like, we'll train you to solve problems so you can do our work for us. And like that they come back to this later, and specifically in the Onderon arc in season 5.
Really?
Sort of like the same setup.
I'm like torn between wanting more and not wanting more, because I feel like if they do flesh out the characters a little more, it could be interesting, but also it's just not interesting right now, so I don't know if I want more of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, the episode is called Bounty Hunters, but the Bounty Hunters are kind of like a footmark. Honestly, I expect like Boba Fett or something to show up in this episode, but I was 100% wrong. Nothing like that happens. We are introduced to Embo and Suki, I believe, and they are recurring bounty hunter characters, and I like them a lot.
Yeah, Embo's sick.
Embo is sick. Yeah, he's got a
bulletproof straw hat. It's obviously based off like a straw hat.
Yeah.
But it's sick.
Yeah, it's cool. He's got a really cool design.
Yo, Suki and Obi-Wan though.
Hello there.
Totally flirting. Obi-Wan still got game.
Obi-Wan's definitely got game, and he was 100% flirting with her on that scene.
100%. Oh my god, it was so crazy. The one scene where she's like telling the dinosaur people to put like the crops away.
They were like flirting over talking about battle tactics.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was pretty intense.
Yeah, it was pretty intense. And Obi-Wan always flirts with like the people that are like enemies to him, like her and Asajj Ventress. He's got a problem.
He's into those.
Yeah, Obi-Wan's so straight-laced. Of course, he loves all the freaky girls that can beat him up.
Those freaky girls.
Yeah, so at the halfway point, it's revealed that Hondo's pirates are actually behind the whole thing. I believe I already said it, but yeah. So Hondo is the villain of this episode, essentially. And, when we last saw him, we sort of left him off at a bit more of a sympathetic light. But, when we see him now, he's back to being a pirate and,
Super aggressive
and pretty nefarious dude if he's exploiting these poor farmers. Not really likable in that instance.
Yeah, he's not likable at all in this episode. Like, I liked him in the other episodes because he was like quirky and funny, but still was like the villain. But in this one, he's just like flat out a dick. Mm-hmm. And I don't like him.
Yeah.
And I don't like him fighting Anakin.
Why don't you like him fighting Anakin, Jordan?
It's just, I don't know, like, I know it's for like the sake of the story, because like, how do we write Anakin being able to fight Hondo? But it was just like so stupid. Anakin can totally overpower him with like one stroke of the Force. He barely uses his lightsaber, and like his only offensive attacks are like him like kicking Hondo away.
Yeah, we've definitely seen Anakin like come up like against tanks and stuff before pretty easily.
Yeah, they're so like the Jedi. They write them to be like so powerful and OP when they need to be, but then so mediocre when they need to be. Mm-hmm. I feel like the Jedi just fit into whatever is needed for the story, and I wish they felt more consistent.
Yeah, well, and then in addition, like when the story is a bit more, there's more going on and there's more elements happening, I think a lot of that stuff is more forgivable. But in this episode, where the story is very straightforward and the ending is just a fight scene, it undercuts the stakes when, we know how the fight scene is going to go. Because we've watched the show and we know the movies and we're familiar with Anakin and how powerful he is. I mean, maybe this episode was trying to state that Hondo is like actually an amazing fighter, like one of the best in the galaxy. But, there's not a lot to set that up. But he certainly could be, like hypothetically. But, everything we know about Hondo, he has his minions do everything for him. I'm sure he doesn't like fighting.
But yeah, like the last time we saw him, he was just this goofy pirate who wants money, and now all of a sudden he's just like a fighter who can take on a Jedi. Mm-hmm. I wasn't messing with it, folks.
Well, and one thing to talk about this episode before we move on is that it starts off saying in memory of Akira Kurosawa, and obviously that has always been a huge influence on George Lucas, and I'm sure he wanted to do something special. I haven't seen Seven Samurai, so I've only seen Rashomon. I haven't seen Seven Samurai, which this episode I believe is supposed to be based off of. So I don't know how accurately it fits it. Maybe it would be a bit cuter and funner if I like loved Seven Samurai and then I was able to like get all the illusions. But in this case, it seems just like George Lucas was having fun.
Yeah, now we're going to watch Seven Samurai and just think of this episode.
Oh my God, that was not his intention. Jordan, this is a happy moment. The happiest of my life. Because we're talking about the Godzilla Star Wars Clone Wars episode. And I am secretly, I don't think even, because most people, Godzilla, oh my God. I'm getting worked up. Godzilla is like sort of a very antiquated thing. I think a lot of people, like people were able to get into it in like the 80s, like when it was still on TV. But now, like, I don't think many young people are like hip to
Not
Godzilla.
at all.
I love Godzilla, and I have most of the movies on VHS. This was a hugely rewarding day for me, and it's also hugely rewarding for Keats because though he may be sick, he hates Godzilla, and I'm sure he loves that he's not on this episode right now. Or maybe he's upset that he isn't here to like bust my balls. Yeah.
Yeah, I know you were super excited about this from like the get-go of like when we first started this podcast. Before we even got into Clone Wars, you're like, Zillo Beast. And I was like, oh my God, I forgot about that.
Yeah, and Dave Filoni, the supervising director for the entire show, he's also a big Godzilla and Kaiju fan, so I'm sure this was like a big exciting thing for him. And as I understand it, this was just, another thing where George came in and said, we're doing a Kaiju Godzilla episode, and then I'm sure Dave Filoni was chomping at the bits to do it. Jordan, would you like to get into the Zillo Beast and the Zillo Beast Strikes Back?
Yeah, sure, why not? So they go to this planet, and there's a guy studying worms, and then...
Right, and then the helicopter lands.
And the helicopter lands, and they're like, yo, we need your worm expertise. That's the Matthew Broderick Godzilla, which I encourage everyone to go watch. It is a fantastic film, but it's not what we watch today. Today we watched the Zillo Beast.
I hate the direction this is going.
The Zillo Beast Strikes Back. We are on Malastare. The Republic is trying to sign a treaty with the Dugs so they can use their fuel. I'm not sure what the fuel is for, but it's very important.
Yeah,
for this episode.
It's weird because in Solo we know that the main hyperfuel is called coaxium. They don't call it that here, so I guess we can't assume that it's the same.
And it's like green ooze.
Yeah. Is it a retcon or is it just another? Who knows? It's not that important.
Watch these episodes.
It's not even that important to the plot. It's like a plot device, but it's they hardly linger on it. So let's not linger on it.
Fair enough. So the Republic has created a new weapon with some scientist lady, where it will destroy all of the droids. It's like the opposite of the Separatist weapon, where it will destroy all organic matter and the droids will survive. Except this one actually like explodes and destroys the ground, and there's like a giant earthquake that kind of caves in, and then it released the Zillo Beast, which is this ancient being that inhabited Malastare before like the Dugs inhabited the world and started mining for the fuel. And they thought them to be extinct because they killed them all when they invaded. But there's actually one left, and this bomb awoke it. Now it's going to kill everyone, or so one of the Dugs says.
That's kind of the classic Godzilla setup, is that there is like a scientific answer in that, like, oh yeah, this is a prehistoric species, but then there is also, at least in the original movie and then some of the other movies, there is the spiritual and sort of fairy tale aspect of the creature, where it's like, oh, this creature is actually... This is maybe not a demon, but like in the case of this episode, the Dugs have like an ancient scroll that, is very reminiscent of like, Japanese classical artwork. And that, there's like a prophecy that the creature will return and things like that. And, that was part of the first Godzilla movies, that the creature like was already like mythologized by the people before it had come back.
So the Dugs have that like scroll with all the weaknesses of the Zillo Beast, and they want to kill it because they're afraid of it. But Mace Windu is super vegan.
I respect your traditions and your ancestors, but we cannot allow the destruction of an innocent life form.
Then there will be no treaty.
It's not in the Jedi way to like kill an innocent beast because they kind of invaded, I guess, its home. And it's not really doing anything, so they just want to relocate it, but the Dugs want to kill it. But Anakin has this idea of just subduing it and tricking the Dugs.
One thing that I thought made the first episode a little bit more interesting was that it seemed pretty clear that the Dugs just did not like the Republic. They were like, we have to do this to get your help, but like at any point where they're like trying to like actually talk to them, or like Mace Windu or Anakin are like trying to like get cozy with them, they just could not give less than a shit about them. They're just like they're there to do their job and like to live their way of life and, you know, to preserve themselves against the Separatists. But like, yeah, they don't care about the Republic at all.
Yeah, they don't. They all seem like just Sebulba.
It's a whole planet of Sebulba's worst case scenario for Anakin.
Yeah, literally.
Just screwy dough pot, Slimo.
I guess it kind of would have been cool if like we saw some more, or just like a scene of Anakin mentioning how he doesn't like Dugs. Just like a callback back to Sebulba, because I completely forgot about Sebulba and Anakin, how they had a relationship.
There's even the scene where after the Zillo Beast breaks out, that the Dugs are like the deal's off, and then Anakin's like, we did what you asked, like we destroyed the droid army, and then the Dugs are just like, we don't need you, like you need our hyperfuel, like that's all this is about. You don't care about us, we are a tactical advantage to you, and you know what, that's fine, but like we have our own problems, and if you're not gonna help us take care of the Zillo Beast, then screw you, we don't care about helping you at all, so get out of our face. You know, I thought that was cool. It's just like the Republic just is like doesn't know what they're doing sometimes.
And the Republic isn't all good. Like they're kind of just using them.
Yeah, 100%. Like, yeah, I mean, I think in most cases where we see the Republic like going into like a separatist occupied space, it's like oftentimes an ulterior motive.
So they like use these beams and they subdue it, and the Chancellor now wants it for his evil plans. Well, we know it's evil, but they don't know it's evil, and he wants to take it back to be studied and weaponized for the war. And that's what they do, and they take it to Coruscant. And what do you think is going to happen when they take it to a planet that's literally all buildings?
Godzilla destroys
all the buildings. It's the worst idea in the history of the Star Wars galaxy. It has like a thing out for the Chancellor. Like, it keeps looking for the Chancellor.
Yeah, I really liked that detail. It's one of the things that made, I think, that episode better.
Just that giant eye creeping in every window the Chancellor's by.
The Chancellor's plan does ultimately get what he wants, and the creature's killed, and then brought away to be studied for the future.
Yeah. At the end, he's like, "Oh, I want you to clone the beast."
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Does it ever come back?
I don't think so.
Would the Zillo Beast work in live action?
No. Would it work in general? Yes, but would that specific design work? I think the design is just way too crazy to come off in live action. It's a perfect example of, you know, animation being a good tool for showing different stuff, telling different stories. But yeah, in live action, hypothetically, I think a kaiju Star Wars movie could work. I don't imagine that that's very high on the Lucasfilm priority, if at all. You know, even I'm sure Kathleen Kennedy gets like 17 million pitches for movies a day, and I bet you that no one has pitched a Star Wars kaiju movie just because.
Well, Yates, go to the writing room.
All right, okay, we'll figure it out.
We're gonna do it.
We'll get it to happen. I've been waiting for you, Ray. You won't win this time. And then, like, the ground beneath him shakes, and then he's actually standing on top of the Zillo Beast the whole time.
Found the last Zillo Beast. That'd be cool.
Yeah, make it happen.
JJ, if you're listening.
Godzilla, as like a character and as like a cultural icon, like has very specific ideas attached to it. Like specifically, like, you know, it was a reaction to the use of the nuclear bomb in World War II, and you know they very much call back to that imagery immediately in this with the testing of the weapon that the Republic has. And, you know, all the weapons we've seen so far have been on the Separatist side, and that's definitely meant to villainize the Separatists and say, like, oh, look at all these weapons they're developing, blah, blah, blah. And we also know from Attack of the Clones, they're also, like, started the Death Star project already. So, like, you know, we're clearly supposed to be like, oh, those Separatists, like, all those weapons. But, you know, in this case now we're pivoting, and it's like, oh, the Republic has a weapon of their own, and, what better way to show kids that it's not good than to, you know, put Godzilla in it?
Yeah, I honestly feel like the weapon thing is kind of a leading into just the Republic turning into the Empire. Mm-hmm. The Chancellor was very prevalent. Like, he was there during the testing, and he was just, like, a main character in this episode.
Yeah.
So it's like he's leaning more and more towards this republic becoming an empire, because that's the whole point of this war. That's what I saw. I saw this as like early empire episode. This is not the republic anymore.
So that's one angle of it, like, right, the expansion, and they are expanding by making this this agreement with the Dugs on Malastare. So like they are expanding in that way, and they are expanding in their military capacity, and the reaction to that is the Zillo Beast. And Godzilla originally, like in the first movie, was kind of like he's getting revenge for the use of the atomic bomb, and then specifically, the subtext would be like the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But he's also like a symbol of nature because he's like a dinosaur, So like here's an example of a power that Palpatine fears, because there is the scene where the Zillo Beast is like looking in through his window, and Palpatine's like, "Yeah, I'm okay with running on this one. Like, let's get out of here." It's an example of there is a creature, or there's a presence, a character that is representative of nature standing up against the expansion of the Empire. I thought that was cool, and I think that is what made the whole idea of like the creature like going after Palpatine really cool and satisfying to me. It's just like, oh, this creature knows what's up. And there's even the line, I think it's potentially by Obi-Wan or Mace Windu, or it could have even been Padme. We don't know this creature's intelligence. Like, there's no way to gauge this. Like, we don't know if this creature's capable of complex thought or is sentient and can think for itself. And so I think that there's that argument too. One thing that I think didn't work was like basically like, and I think we talked about it before, Jordan, before we started recording, is like, so all the characters at one point like just sort of go up and it's like, we have to go and tell Palpatine that this is wrong. And every time that happens, Palpatine just says the exact same thing. So none of the time, it's like basically all the characters just walk into a room and say, Palpatine, you have to stop. Like, this is not worth it. And he says, cost of war, we need it. And then that happens. That same scene happens like 4 times.
It is not the Jedi way to take an innocent life.
I must protest. Besides being the last of its kind, this creature may be intelligent.
How is killing the last of a species, in secret and without debate, good for anyone?
I wish I saw an alternative.
It's like, all right, Palpatine, I get it. Dude. You're a dick.
Yeah, they probably they could have probably padded it out with something else that was more interesting. But yeah, in any case, once the Zillo Beast gets free, it's a lot of fun.
I love how like aware everyone is of Anakin and Palpatine's relationship, though, because they're like, yo, you're like his best friend. You're the only one who can like convince him that this is wrong.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I really liked that. Where like sort of, I think it's like they're in the library or something, or like the lobby of the Senate chamber or something, and then Anakin's like ambushed by Obi-Wan and Padme, and it's like, what are you guys doing here?
Yeah, Anakin's like, oh, I didn't know you were going to be here, Padme. And I'm sure Obi-Wan was just like, yo, I know you fucking her. I'm going to use her against you because I know she's the only one who can get through your thick skull.
Yeah, so they both end up convincing Anakin to go speak to Palpatine. Yeah. But it doesn't even end up working because Anakin's like, listen, babe, he makes some good points.
Listen, babe.
He's like, Anakin, you're supposed to be on my side. That's why we're doing this.
Literally.
100%. The craziest visual so far is just Yoda and Aayla Secura striking and running down the Zillo Beast.
That was pretty cool.
It was cool. It looked like something out of like an anime or a cartoon. Like, that is not out of Godzilla. Yeah. That's just straight up like...
That was definitely anime.
Yeah, it was like, whoa, it's like they're fighting a giant monster, these tiny specks like running down. Yeah. Like, just Yoda running down Godzilla's back is just like a crazy visual.
I think, it was cool, like the camera like panning around them.
Yeah,
and they were doing like the anime like samurai run with the sword like behind their back.
I love that. So cool. Yeah. It looked awesome. But yeah, they didn't do too much crazy stuff in terms of visuals with the Zillo Beast, but throughout the 2 episodes, they were able to use scale like very effectively. Like, you definitely buy the size of this thing through the camera work and everything, like the sweeping shot that you were talking about. And like there's a couple like sort of long-ish panning shots of the Zillo Beast like going through Coruscant and like destroying everything that I thought were, every time that was on screen, it's like, this is really cool. It's like, this looks huge. This looks like, mass casualties. A bunch of cool montage-y classic Godzilla stuff, like there's like a boardroom meeting upstairs, and then, the Zillo Beast like walks by the boardroom meeting and stuff like that.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, that was fun. Very smart.
I would have liked to have seen more of destruction on Coruscant, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it was probably the budget, but like, yeah, I mean, we could trade out like 2 of those visiting Palpatine segments for like more Zillo Beast destroying stuff. Because I was really looking forward to that, and I wish there was just a little bit more.
Like just trying to like grab some speeders that are just coming by and missing a couple, and then a couple trying to like dodge his body and then like hit his head or something, and then like crash into a building. Just like more destruction. That would have been cool. Just like fun sequence. I mean, not that death is fun.
Death is never fun.
Death is never fun, guys.
It would have been cool to have a bit more of like the clone collateral damage, like, you know, because in Godzilla movies, normally, you know, the first thing you see is, you know, big booming orchestra music to a montage of tanks like pulling on screen, and we didn't really get that. Like, it would have been nice to. I think there was like one shot where they cut to the clones like being when the Zillo Beast first escapes, he like drops like the whole building on like a couple clone tanks. But, like, you know, it feels like they're on Coruscant. Like, I feel like they should be, like, mobilizing a little better. But, you know, of course, the Jedi were able to handle it. They're the Jedi.
They're the Jedi.
Palpatine in this episode is a mad scientist, essentially.
He's cuckoo.
He's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
He looks cuckoo throughout the whole thing. Like his evil smirk on him constantly.
You gotta have crazy eyes to look Mace Windu's in the eye and say, Master Windu, I think it would be best if we weaponized Godzilla.
Yeah, and then Mace Windu's like, nah.
Yeah, Mace Windu, I found his characterization in here interesting.
He seemed so, like, down to earth and...
It's hard to tell what Mace Windu is about at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I don't think anyone even knows. Like,
he's such a cool character. Like, I feel like there's so many sides to him.
Yeah, like there's like the very hard, like by the rules, like Mace Windu, but then, you know, I guess he loves animals.
Yeah, he has a soft spot for like animals, which is really cool. We saw 2 different sides of him recently because the last Mace Windu episode was kind of close. What was the last Mace Windu episode?
And Mace Windu was in the Holocron heist, so he was in last week's. He was in the last 2 episodes this week. So we're actually getting a lot of Mace Windu. Recently, and yeah,
and they're both 2 different sides of the character.
Yeah,
but they both like feel like the character and fit. Like I didn't think like this isn't Mace Windu. He's like super badass Jedi who's so hard and can tap into the dark side and blah 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 whatever. I don't know. This just felt like so natural. It felt like him. Like I couldn't see Anakin saying what he said.
Yeah, for sure. Sure, yeah. I mean, Anakin didn't. Anakin was like, whatever needs to happen.
Yeah, Anakin kind of just didn't care.
Yeah, I was like, this is not the most important thing right now. Like, I do not care about this creature. I mean, it definitely makes sense that the Jedi are like naturalists and they want to preserve as much life as possible. I mean, I think that's why they're part of the Republic in the first place. Is like they're the sort of philosophical heart of the Republic. They're there to like say like, hey, like let's not stray too far from our morals. Although they're kind of doing that, but you know. I mean, clearly, we're officially in Crazy Town now, and I'm excited about that. I mean, it's definitely not the strongest episode. You know, I would say there's probably episodes from season 1 that I enjoyed overall more than this one. I mean, I thought it was a very fun idea, and
it was executed well.
Yeah, it was executed well, and then we also just got to see something drastically different. Like, it was just a drastically different type of story than anything in season 1. I mean, we're very far away from like go into city, blow up city, like attack Count Dooku, like we said at the end, like of episode 10, like that version of Clone Wars is pretty much done. We'll go back to some of that stuff, but like we're in Crazy Town.
We're in Crazy Town.
I'm very happy about it. So long story short, Godzilla in Star Wars, good idea. I wish they did a little more stuff like that. I mean, I feel like they're always experimenting with genres and stuff, but this feels like the boldest step in you know, in a pretty extreme direction, and I think it worked.
Yeah, I wonder what everyone was thinking when this like was pitched.
Yeah, I'm sure there were some naysayers like, this is just not gonna work. Yeah,
and I'm sure some were like dummy about.
I'm glad they were dummy about.
I'm glad too. Because this episode was actually, I really enjoyed these, to be honest.
Well, you know, that's the end of that. I mean, these episodes were pretty straightforward, but, you know, I had fun and there was some interesting stuff in there. So, you know, I was pretty happy with this arc. Next week, we will be talking about Season 2, Episode 4, Senate Spy, Season 2, Episode 5, Landing at Point Rain, Episode 6, Weapons Factory, Episode 7, Legacy of Terror, and Episode 8, Brain Invaders. That's 5 episodes. It's the most we've done so far at one point.
Brain Invaders?
Brain Invaders.
I have no idea what that's about.
Well, you're going to find out next week. All right, we're looking forward to it, guys. And if you're interested in getting up-to-date information on the podcast, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram. My name is Yates.
My name is Jordan.
And this has been The World Between Worlds. May the Force be with you.